Hi, I'm Maggie, traveling quilt teacher and author, and today I would like to share with you my new template-free kaleidoscope technique. You can see from this quilt behind me that it's made up of 25 kaleidoscope blocks. Here in the center you can see the kaleidoscope really clearly. Usually we need templates to cut these kite-shaped and wedge-shaped pieces for these quilts. But no more. I've devised a very simple technique for doing this using the tools that you already have. No triangular rulers required. The idea is very simple. You set up a 10-inch frame of masking tape on your cutting mat, and then I've made marks 3 inches from each corner. So from every corner, count off 3 inches, make a little mark. And then I've numbered these marks because this is how we're going to make the cuts. We're going to put 10-inch squares of fabric inside the frame like this. 10 inches is very convenient because you can get 4 across one full width of fabric. And then the cuts go across. So the number 1 cut will go diagonally to the other side of the square. And you want to put your ruler down so that you're right on that point where the mark is at the edge of the square. When you make the cut, if your layers come apart slightly, sometimes they come open a little bit, just nudge them back together again. Now you can make your number 2 cut. You're going to go to number 2 across to the other side. Again, we're getting our ruler so that it's right by this little edge on the inside of the frame. Make your number 2 cut. Number 3 goes across like this. And the number 4 cut is the last one here. And what you get is 4 kites and 4 wedges of fabric from each square. And you can stack 4 squares at a time up to cut. So each block is made of 4 kites and 4 wedges, and when you put them together you're always going to put the wedge on top of the kite. So match up the point in the center and match up the raw edge on the right hand side. And you can see that the kite is actually a little bit larger than the wedge, and that's fine. Always feed it into your sewing machine in this way with the point leading, so the center will be really accurate. For each block we have 2 pairs of kites and wedges. We're going to put these pairs together, and you want to match these seams. You can stitch again from the center out towards the edge. You want to make the center really accurate. So to do this, we're going to put the 2 halves together, and I'm going to take my pin and put it straight down right through where these little points intersect. And then I'm going to do the same on the other half. The pin is holding everything in the right place here, and I want to stitch all the way through this intersecting point. So the next step is to trim the block to make it even. We're trimming it to 8.5 inches. My 4 1/4 is in the center here. My diagonal goes through this corner down here and out to here. I'm going to cut the side and the top. Now I'm going to turn the block around. And 8.5 inches here and here, and the center is still on 4 1/4. Here we'll trim this block up. As you can see, there's very little wastage here. Just maybe 1/4 inch off the kites and a little thin sliver off the wedge. So we're wasting very little fabric, and from a 10-inch start we end up with an 8.5 inch block. When it's time to join blocks together, it's very easy because these seams actually match on the raw edge. So you put your block right sides together, and I like to pin So this seam right here exactly matches this seam, and this one matches this. As you've seen from the demonstration, it's very easy to cut the pieces for these blocks and also to piece the blocks together. Very economical on fabric, and it's fun to do. I recommend that you experiment by cutting up a bunch of different fabrics and designing your own quilt. This one is 5 by 5 for 25 blocks. You can see the kaleidoscope block in the center where I've just used 2 fabrics, and then the design builds. So it's fun to play on your design board and do your own thing. If you do a 4 by 4, here you can see that there's a star in the middle. So the patterns vary enormously, and you can have great fun experimenting. Watch part 2 for instructions on making kaleidoscope puzzle quilts with the blocks on point, and watch Op Art Kaleidoscope quilts to see how this technique may be further developed to make a new quilt block. Visit my online store at dragonflyquilts.com to purchase patterns immediately available as downloadable PDFs, or they may be sent to you by snail mail. Happy quilting!